back to Pop Culture Graveyard. I am Hollis. With me, as always, is Dave. Hello, Dave.
Hello, Hollis.
Thought you were going to give me the thumbs up.
Oh,
the
how
fall
could
guy.
I
not? There it is. Yeah, it seems like a no-brainer.
We got our thumbs up.
We are covering one of our favorite actors, Dave and I, the inimitable Ryan Gosling, the man's man with a sensitive nougat center. He seems to get it, quote unquote, get it when it comes to Hollywood. And I like this guy in everything he's been in, Dave.
Who's the other Ryan? Ryan.
Oh, that dick, Ryan Reynolds.
There it is, Ryan Reynolds.
I fucking hate that guy. Yeah.
I think it's kind of funny because I'm like, it's the rich man's Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
Like Ryan Gosling. It's funny because it's like a similar level of celebrity and a similar name and a similar age. And one is just like so great. And the other is like, whatever.
Yeah.
I liked Imaginary Friend, but I'm a Gosling man.
Yeah. We're little Goslings. That's what his fan club should be called, the Goslings. We are covering a very new film. I'm very happy to say that we're covering the shoot 'em up, blow 'em up, big blockbuster stuntman epic, The Fall Guy. It's based on a TV series. The original series ran on ABC from 1981 to 1986, I believe. And it starred Lee Majors,
$6 million man.
the $6 million man himself, Lee Majors, and my beloved Heather Thomas. And they both make a cameo at the very end of this flick. But I just wanted to show you, immortalized in a lunchbox, to those of you on YouTube, Lee Majors' character of Colt Seavers.
Yeah,
and
nice.
There's the gorgeous, iconic
GMC. Makes it into the movie.
The pickup truck, yeah. His was a 1982 GMC K2500 Sierra Grand in the TV show. Of course, there are updated versions of that truck in this film that he gets in, but Colt Seavers is the 80s counterpart to another stuntman we loved, which is Cliff Booth in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Dave.
I thought about that connection.
Yeah, I think it's very fitting because I feel Ryan Gosling is today's version of Brad Pitt, if Brad was a triple threat. But he's definitely the heir apparent. And these two guys, Cliff Booth and Colt Seavers, have a lot in common. And I was really thinking of it for the first time when he's playing a valet and he drives that car really fast, the way Cliff drove his own car, but then he heads back to his modest home, you know, which for Cliff was a trailer, and for him it's just this little one bedroom in Hollywood.
Yeah, messy apartment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's very much a Cliff Burke character. Cliff.
Kill them all. Cliff Booth.
Cliff Booth character, which is a departure from our fall guy, Lee Majors, who was a bounty hunter.
He was a stuntman by day, and off hours he was a bounty hunter.
Side hustle.
Right. He was the first to have a side hustle, Dave.
Yeah. You know, it made a lot of sense. He had driving skills, he had fighting skills, and they translated to being able to be a bounty hunter on the side. And that made sense why this bounty hunter was, why this stuntman was constantly getting involved with crime. You know, made a lot of sense. In this movie, it makes very little sense, and you just don't care.
Yeah. The movie takes elements of the series, but it very much charts its own path. And there's no bounty hunting here. The original series, by the way, I just want to say, was created by one of my all-time TV idols, Glenn A. Larson. You may know the name from Battlestar Galactica he created. He created Buck Rogers in the 25th Century, Sheriff Lobo, Quincy, the Hardy Boys Nancy Drew mysteries, Your Beloved Magnum P.I., Knight Rider. I mean,
wow,
he's amazing. He also wrote the song, The Unknown Stuntman, which was the theme from the series, performed by star Lee Majors. So Glenn A. Larson.
Okay. Well, since you brought up the theme song, which I can't believe he wrote, that's incredible. I can't believe he wrote it. That
Yeah,
is incredible.
that
He
is.
did
Yeah,
not
he
write
didn't
That's
write the "That's
Incredible." That was
Incredible."
totally somebody else. My 80s are leaking into my 80s.
Yeah, John
But
Davidson, I believe.
oh yeah, this was one of the, first of all, I don't no one can hurt my childhood by making something wrong or different.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen to me. But I did not like this refrain in the song. I forget what they used. I think it was the unknown stuntman who helped you win your love over and over again, or something like that. But it's the unknown stuntman who made Eastwood look so good. The unknown stuntman who made a lover out of Bert. Each verse, at the end of the verse, would say, it's the stuntman that makes Burt Reynolds look so good. It's the stuntman that makes Clint Eastwood look so tough. In this, it was just a refrain about that won your heart. It was
It's an
not,
awkward choice for a song that was an awkward inclusion. It's kind of shoehorned in. It really doesn't fit the tone of the rest of the music.
yeah, I didn't. So that was a little bit of a letdown. When I say a little bit, I mean very little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was no big deal. I think it's Blake Shelton or something like that.
I think you're right. Yeah.
It's a current guy.
Yeah, it's terrible. So the title itself, The Fall Guy, cuts two ways.
Three ways, I think.
Three ways. The stuntman, he takes a lot of falls.
Right.
The star in this, Ryan Gosling, who's playing Colt Seavers, he's playing a guy who took a great fall and it went wrong. And so he fell again. He fell from grace, really. By the way, the third way that the title cuts is that he's the fall guy. He's the guy that he's the patsy. He's the one that you frame. Right. He's the fall guy for something. But like,
and I'd add that he's falling in love, but go ahead.
And he's falling in love. Cuts four ways.
Yeah.
Fall guy. He fell for his girl, Jodie. He was body doubling the movie's version of Tom Cruise, Tom Rider. And it seems like he's based on sort of a Days of Thunder era Tom Cruise. It's a younger kind of.
Just to be safe, they mentioned Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise exists in this movie's universe.
Yeah.
And I think that helps them be able to say to Tom Cruise, like, no, it's not you. We mentioned you.
So yeah, he's fallen from being like the top stuntman to now being a valet at a Mexican restaurant when we re-meet him, and he's not on Skid Row, but he's kind of like he's hit rock bottom pretty much for what he was.
Down on his luck. He's got a voice over there, and he's given up on everybody. He's given up on himself and cut himself off from everybody, and yet. Yeah. He's working on his bonsai tree. He's staying in shape.
Oh, staying in ridiculous shape. That's kind of they should have had him be shirtless sooner. And then for this, kind of cover him up. You know what I mean? Because it's just, especially with a back injury. I tore my rotator cuff a few years ago and I had to stop working out. And you cannot stay in tip-top shape no matter what you do. And he really injured his back. One of the characters who witnessed it says about 10 meters down from falling with a cable on him, he kind of snapped like a pretzel, you know? So I don't know just how much core work he's doing to get those abs.
Yeah.
This movie was directed by David Leitch, who did John Wick, Atomic Blonde, Deadpool 2, and most recently Bullet Train, which I actually loved, which starred Brad Pitt.
I liked Bullet Train.
So fun. It was fun the way this is fun. It's breezy humor, quick kind of like action that you're never for 1 second are you worried for the star's safety or anyone important around them. But this...
and you can tell all discussions were, can we do that? Like, yeah, we can do anything.
Yeah.
It's no holds barred.
Like, and this reminded me, Dave, it has the same kind of breezy humor that we got in The Nice Guys with Gosling. For example, the humor of having the hotel key card not work, him going down to get it fixed at the desk, only to have it not work again when he goes and him have to kick his way in. I immediately thought of that break-in scene from The Nice Guys, you know?
Yeah, and to take the time to do a funny key card doesn't work scene while you're jumping flaming boats and like it's almost it seems weird that that scene is in there, but it's enjoyable because one of the reasons a lot of these scenes work is because it's Ryan Gosling.
That's right.
Yeah, I still prefer Nice Guys because of the level of reality, but it was fun to watch Ryan Gosling be funny over and over and over again.
The Nice Guys kind of respected the brutality of its world in the way that they conveyed it. And when people died, you kind of felt it. In this movie, a few people die and they're just sort of like plot points. It's kind of glossed over. And I don't know if that's the best way to portray death in a movie, any movie, if you want us to
Mhm.
realize that there's stakes. But one of the things I told you when I like recommended this film, I think, was just it's just breezy fun. It's just entertainment. You
Yeah,
know,
if they
there's
spent any time getting me to appreciate that someone had died, it would have hurt the movie. Yeah, it's better that it's like, yeah, he's dead. That's not important. Was he a good guy? Did he have a family? Like, stop it. Stop it.
right,
We don't need him to be dead. We need a murderer.
right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and the film is super predictable. It goes everywhere you think it'll go. It hits all the points, all its paces that you've seen in a million other action movies, but it does not matter. And I think it's because of what you said. It's Ryan Gosling and it's Emily Blunt. You can seldom do better today with stars than Gosling and Blunt. That's A-list, and they
Mhm.
always deliver. And that's something that like is a dying breed, it seems to me. The streaming movies, one row after another. I'm like, why did Netflix just vomit up 1,400 Korean films? I like stars. I like people that I know.
I like nobodies. I love a movie with someone who I love in it, like Nice Guys and this movie. But I love when there's a bunch of people I've never met, and it completely. All I know about them is their character. I almost love that more for series. I watched a series called The Umbrella Academy, one of those misfit superhero shows. There were these what I consider nobody actors. They were all great, and I only knew them as these characters. And then the third season, the show had gotten popular, and they bring in who's the power couple, the guy who builds his own canoes and is Megan Mullally.
Megan
And
Mullally and our pal from Hearts Beat Loud, Nick
yes,
Offerman.
yeah. So they bring in Nick Offerman, Megan Mullally. They bring in 5 or 6 established people who I think probably were fans of the show and were like, had their agent call, can I get in on that? Or maybe the show had built up some popularity. But in a way, I'm like, hey, 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 I know you like it and you want to come play on this playground, but these guys got it. Like, please don't come in and be this distraction. And they were. I found them extremely distracting. It's the kind of show where you can really submerge yourself in the stories.
Mm.
And Nick Offerman and Megan Mullally are just pulling me out of it.
So often these shows, they come out of the gate and you've got a million ideas and they create a world and they keep inhabiting it. And then they just run out of gas or writers leave or the showrunners leave or everyone stays the same. And they simply can't do it anymore. They're like, we got to open the show up. We got to find a way to, and it's really them becoming burnt out. And it's a Hail Mary, really, when they bring in
Mhm.
outside people. So
Yeah, it
I
could be that.
I can't think of a show that can sustain itself these days.
Something
You
that
know,
points to the fact that you're right is that this was the final season. And I believe it was an unexpected final season.
uh,
Um,
yeah,
so it was like, we better get some stars in here because we got nothing.
right. So this has no shortage of star power in the two leads, but it also features, I think it's Hannah Waddingham
Oh,
from
yeah.
who
It's
we
funny that you
really
say,
like.
I think it's because I was like, is it? No, it's,
Well,
oh,
because
no, it is. Oh, wait, it
that
isn't.
because her name is like, no, it sounds too made up British. It sounds Hannah
Yeah, yeah.
Waddingham, like, it sounds like I'm making fun of a British name, but it's really her. We liked her in ugh,
Ted Lasso, not
Lasso.
Bill and Ted's Lasso.
Yeah. For some reason I had Flanders in my head.
Oh, well, that's perfect. Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, Lasso. She's great in that. In here, she kind of has a one-note character to play, but it's great to watch her because she's a really interesting actress. There's also Teresa Palmer, who I've had a crush on since the first time I saw her, in a smaller role as Tom Ryder's girlfriend, who practically kills Colt with a sword at one point. Turns out to be a prop
Samurai
sword.
sword, yeah.
Yeah. And then there's the guy playing Tom Ryder himself, Aaron Taylor Johnson.
I didn't recognize that guy at all.
He's Kick-Ass in the Kick-Ass movies.
Oh, I never saw that.
You never saw Kick-Ass. Wow. The first
should-
one I think was good. I saw that in the theater, but I wouldn't
Is that like
recommend the
amateur
sequel.
superhero type?
Exactly right.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll go watch that right away. Maybe we'll do it. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe. But anyway, one thing that's funny to me is coming off Barbie, where Ryan Gosling played Ken. He had a strange affinity for horses as a sort of symbol of male strength and virility. And here his character name is Colt, which was funny to me. And he also sees unicorns while he's high. So like there's a horse thing going on with Gosling that I really like.
I went a different direction there.
Yeah.
I went Ryan Gosling, Blade Runner 2071, 2052,
49, I don't know.
49. What was the latest Blade Runner?
Yeah.
So I'm like, Ryan Gosling, Blade Runner, unicorn, because there were the unicorn sequences in Blade Runner, which Harrison Ford would dream about unicorns, and then the other cop, almost.
Edward James Olmos.
He folded up a origami unicorn, which is supposed to be the hint. He knows Decker's dreams because Decker's dreams are programmed. Still up for debate, I think. So that's where I was going with the unicorns. But I did think about Barbie because I think that there's let's just have fun. And we will make some points and stuff, but like, let's have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Like, it's a new way of looking at the blockbuster, I think.
And it's funny because the blockbuster within this blockbuster called Metal Storm, one word.
Which I recognized.
Yeah.
From childhood. Like, there was a it was like Metal Storm in the something universe or something. Like, there was some movie that was called Metal Storm.
Yeah. Colt works on films with titles like Annihilation of Valor. It's like a Vietnam film or something, where he's blown up in an impressive stunt. And he's brought on to Jodie's film, which is called Metal Storm. So he's making big budget Hollywood pablum, and it's kind of very meta to have him within that kind of film. And let's forget for a moment that the big budget film they're filming doesn't happen the way they portray. Like, no director of a blockbuster is trying desperately to write the third act while they're already in the middle of filming. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that's just like, it's funnier this way. It's not true. Everybody in costume has their affected voice for that character. You notice like the little troglodyte guy. Yeah. He's like, I remember. He's like, I have a similar story with my wife. There's no reason to put equipment in to change his voice.
Yeah, that's all done in post. It's
like, but it helps you later when she doesn't know that Colt is in the costume and she's fighting him, and he can't say it's me because the voice is wrong.
Right.
So, and they just, it's like, but that's not what we do in movies. It's like, yeah, I don't care. I just love the I don't care in this. It's so good.
Yeah, that costume is almost like the one that Princess Leia takes off in Jabba's lair.
Yeah.
That was like disguising her brand. I'm like, whoa, that's way too high tech.
Yeah.
You referenced a really crazy scene where Jodie kicks Colt's ass, Emily Blunt's character, Jodie, and she almost kills him. She has a knife because he's dressed up and she doesn't know it's him. But on a deeper level, it really shows that those two belong together because she can hang. She is equally impressive physically as well as mentally, and she kicks his ass.
Yeah. Somebody drives a pen into my thigh, I'm out. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. The rest of that movie doesn't happen with a pen in my thigh.
It's complicated. Ryan Gosling, point of how this guy can wear anything. He even looks good in a Miami Vice jacket. I love that was his big coming out, was doing stunts for that. And he did like a whole Miami Vice show, like 3 shows a day or something.
And he did it like in Orlando or something, right? He did one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have some major plot holes for you. Are you ready
Well,
for those?
okay, yeah.
First of all, Colt, he wouldn't even answer Jody's calls back when they like broke up. Like the woman he loves, he won't even let her be a part of his life. But Gail calls, and now he's willing to fly in and save Jody's career.
I think that's why you get the Mexican restaurant scene before it, directly before it, to make him desperate to not have to park assholes' cars another fucking night.
Oh,
So here he's been humiliated by this guy, and he's like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. Like, and then the phone rings, and he's got a job doing what he used to do if he wants.
but
Um,
also you had me thinking. I think it's what you said. He finally reaches rock bottom because he
mm,
sees himself reflected back in that douchebag's eyes, who was there
mm,
when it happened. But also, that ends in a moment of kind of victory for him. He's smiling while he's like doing donuts with the car,
yeah,
and
and
the
the guy's screaming,
valets are
"It's a
all
rental!"
yeah,
Like
and the
he has
valets
to
are all
admit it.
like cheering him on and
Yeah,
everything.
essay. Yeah, because they're all
Yeah.
Mexican dudes.
So like, and I can believe he quit the job as he's walking to his pickup
Oh,
truck.
yeah, you're right. He may have quit the
So
job right
so I
there,
can believe
or
that's a victory march.
he might have been fired too. He
Yeah,
just did donuts in the guy's car.
right.
Um, so that helps, right?
That does help. But also,
Mhm.
I think doing all that and the smile on his face when he did it kind of reawakened, like, at my heart, I'm a stunt man. And
Mm,
so when she calls, he knows he can still drive. He knows he still has yeah, it does fill me with fire when I do stuff. I need it
mhm.
now. And then, Jody is the pushover. So, okay, I can buy that one.
Sure, next one.
Okay, okay, we're going to go deep right now on what I think are holes in the script. Stop here, go watch the movie, come back, and hit play again, please. But
I plan on saying things to utterly destroy this movie if you don't watch it first.
yeah,
You
but
you have been warned.
that said, knowing what happens doesn't even stop your enjoyment from this film. I don't
Of
feel
course not.
it's
That's not
so
what the yeah.
breezy and so like fun. That's
Yeah.
what it's about. Here's the bigger one. Colt is brought onto the set and gets involved in everything plot wise. He was already gone. He was not a problem to anyone. And from the moment he arrives on set, so much of the film is about getting rid of Colt. Like later, there's a convoluted, they try to frame him for something. But up till then, they're trying very hard to get rid of him. So it doesn't ring true.
I
Later,
know
he's made
what.
to be a patsy, but he was
No,
not
he was going to be.
wanted there.
So he gets the call from Gail. Come be a stuntman again. Besides, Jody wants you here. Oh my God, I'll go. He goes. What's the first thing they do when he gets there?
Oh,
They
they scan
scan
him.
him. And
Yeah.
the reason that's the first thing they do is because the plan is to get his face onto the star's face,
Tom
onto
Ryder.
Tom Ryder's face, so that they can pin the murder on him. They brought him there to pin the murder on.
He kills his stunt double, and then they bring Gosling in. He's brought in because supposedly they can't find the guy that they know is
Yeah,
killed.
Tom Ryder is missing. Like Gail knows exactly where Tom Ryder is. So that's a lie.
Yeah,
I
but
don't know where he is. Go get him.
how come she sent him to Tom's house then? You can't frame him there. There's no dead body there. What's the
Mm.
point of that? That's what I
Yeah,
mean. Like the framing him comes way later
yeah.
in
Well,
the
the framing
hotel.
was supposed to be like a happy accident, right? Like that. Like, oh, great. Now we'll just frame him because now he's been in the room
Yeah,
with the
and
dead
they didn't need
body.
to scan him because they have him on video at the hotel.
Well, they
And he only got that information from a drug dealer who he threatened. There was no way he was going to get the hotel even. It wasn't like they led him to the hotel. He fought to get there.
yeah. I don't know. Well, they've got a video of Tom Ryder. They know that there's a video on Tom Ryder's phone, or there's a video on a phone
Hmm.
of Tom Ryder kicking his
Body double.
his current body double
Right.
in the chest, and I believe the guy falls backward, hits his head, and dies. So that video exists, and they come up with a plan to superimpose Ryan Gosling's face, Colt Seaver's face. You know what? This is all very convoluted and somewhat and maybe they were like, this is convoluted enough that it doesn't have to be perfect.
You know what? I I got a bigger plot hole that will just
Okay,
end.
moving on.
There's a video that's very important, and there's like 80 witnesses
I know
inside
the
the
room is full
video.
of people, right?
The
Yeah.
room is full of people. One, there's no way they all keep the lid on this. Someone's going to talk. Two, his girlfriend is never in trouble. There's no talk of killing her. There's no talk of we've got to hunt down 80 witnesses.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, uh, therefore, the
Yeah.
whole thing, you can just throw it out. I'm putting it all under the umbrella title of MacGuffin, Dave.
Yeah. Okay, that works for me.
It's
And
important to the characters, but not to us.
it's it's beyond a comedy. It's a farce. I
Yeah.
mean, you know, you could say that this movie, what is this movie about? This movie asks the question, how powerful is Tom Cruise? In a way, it does. You get black, you know those black blazers that always roll up in movies and guys get out with guns?
Yeah.
Those black Range
The
Rovers and
SUVs.
yeah, the black SUVs. You've got 3, 4, 5 black SUVs showing up and guys getting out with guns for an actor
Yeah.
and his
Yeah.
agent. I mean, this guy is not, he's not an oil magnate. He's not, but in a way, you're like, huh, Tom Cruise does have a lot of money. He does have a lot of security. Like, there's a get to the chopper scene.
Yeah.
Like, if we can get to the chopper, we can escape. To where?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a farce how powerful and how willing to do anything this actor and his agent. And it's mainly the agent because even the actor, um,
He's
he's
helpless.
like, there's a point where she says shoot him, and he's like, he's a great stuntman,
Yeah.
best stuntman I ever had.
Right. But he got too big for his britches.
Yeah,
There's something early on when we see him and we get the obligatory Gosling with his shirt off shot at his apartment. He's got these two large Oreo looking things on his back. And the first time I watched it, I was like, are those permanently attached to his back? Are they screws and things? So
mhm.
weird. But then when I watched it a second time, I was like, it might be some therapy thing he attaches while he stretches. Is that what
Mhm.
it is? Do you?
Yeah, it looked like it's. I've used a cheaper version of that. It flexes your muscles for. You know how your muscles flex when your brain sends an
Yeah,
electrical
yeah.
impulse to them. Those things send an electrical impulse
Ah,
from the outside. And I did some
okay.
rehab once where I wore like a cheap version of that. It looked like an expensive version of that. And
Okay.
so these things are constantly working out your muscles in little dit, 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 dit.
Right.
I think that's what he's got on his back.
Okay.
It was too focused on and not explained, and it was almost like your movie skills brain was like, "Oh, I need to remember those," or "Oh, I wonder how
Yeah.
those figure in," and they don't.
Yeah. They don't.
Their only purpose is to say he hurt his back, and we're like, "We know he hurt his back. He said so like 10 times."
Right.
Like,
And it was enough to see the scars. They could
mhm.
have had him change and just see the scars on his back, which this even detracted from because the scars are up and down.
Yeah, it was
So yeah.
distracting, and if you don't know what that is,
Yeah. Yeah, you
you're like,
explained
"Wait,
it
this guy
well.
can't work again."
Yeah, that's exactly why I had that in my
Mhm,
head. I was like, what? Um, I just want to call out a character, his stunt coordinator, played by Winston Duke, who played the father in Us, the Jordan Peele movie. Very natural, likable actor. And I remember at one point, midway, being very frightened that he would die because he's not the main guy. And I was like, if they kill
mhm.
this guy, I'm out. That's how much I liked his character. He brought Colt in. He was like very friendly. He was rooting for him. I was like, don't you kill this man.
Yeah, and he's his positive, they use lines from movies to keep each other positive and
Yeah.
keep the energy up, and yeah, he does a great job. Isn't Dan Tucker, isn't that song, like, isn't that Um,
Oh, Dan Tucker, he's too
yeah, he's
late
too
to get
late to
his.
catch his
That was
supper.
Mr. Edwards on Little House on the Prairie used to sing that.
Yeah, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Victor
That's right.
French.
Yeah, he was. I love that character, by the way.
Oh,
He ended up doing
great.
the Heaven.
Highway to Heaven. Yeah,
Yeah, he ended up doing that, which I didn't like as much because
because
he
of
was too
God,
like he was.
because of all the God stuff.
I didn't like him as like a sidekick. I
Mm,
thought it was demeaning. I liked him better as like a woodsman who
yeah, yeah,
occasionally did things with other people, but mostly kept to himself.
yeah,
Anyway, so they named that guy Dan Tucker. That can't be an accident. He's super likable, and he's a big, strong sidekick.
yeah.
Um, yeah, and they do the movie quotes. Did you notice when Dan Tucker and Colt Seavers go back to Tom Ryder's apartment where they get ambushed?
Right.
During that fight, the cell phone, the important cell phone with the video on it, gets shot out of Ryan Gosling's hand. Of course, you know that. But right before it gets shot, Ryan Gosling realizes the guy's going to shoot through the wall or staircase a second time, and he pushes Dan Tucker out of the way.
Oh, yeah.
And the push is in slow motion, and the push goes.
Ah, little $6 million man.
I rewound it, and I don't know why they chose that spot, but
It's a nice little talk about
they threw it
meta.
in. Yeah, they threw it in right there. A little.
Little Lee Majors.
Yeah,
That's funny.
yeah.
Yeah, like when they worked on his back, they had to put in some bionic arms.
Ah, I
uh,
like it. Yeah, but Dan Tuck, Winston Duke, great in that role. You know, again, Colt Seavers comes to his character Dan Tucker, and he lays out the whole story of murder and intrigue, and he's being set up as the fall guy for this crime that he didn't commit, and he tells him all this crazy stuff, and then it's Dan's turn in karaoke,
yeah.
and he goes to do it. He goes to do his turn.
Yeah.
And like it just like it shows you like the reality is just it's set on zero.
Yeah, it's
And I
true.
like it.
I'm reminded of when every, few years or something, my wife and I will watch the Charlie's Angels movies by McG. Every 10 minutes or something, I'm driven to distraction by some plot point, and my wife has to remind me, it's a cartoon.
Yeah, yeah,
It's just a cartoon. And I'm like, oh, right, sorry. And that's what you should bring to this. It's just a
yeah.
cartoon. It's so fun and nothing can ruin it. But speaking of karaoke, they use the title track from the movie Against All Odds by Phil Collins to great effect
Mhm.
during a karaoke scene, juxtaposing Emily Blunt singing it with Colt, who's out in the street doing some real life stunts while battling bad guys
He slowly goes by the window.
with
Yeah,
sparks
yeah.
flying from the back of the dumpster. Yeah, it's amazing. But all of the songs, that included, there's some great like 80s sheen here. Kiss, I Was Made for Loving You.
Oh, I love
There,
it. Like 5 different versions of it. Like
yes.
movieized. Like
Yeah.
rewrite I Was Made for Loving You 5 different ways for 5 different scenes, and
And
I
they all
love it.
work. And
It's amazing.
and it's their disco song. So it's never like something that their fans were like, "Hey, I love that song." This is maybe the only movie you could use it for and have it shine, because
Yeah,
it's a great song.
it's perfect.
And
I've always loved that song. I've always thought
yeah,
that was a terrific song.
and they use a song that sounds very 80s but is from the 2000s or whatever, The Darkness, I Believe in a Thing Called Love.
Oh, yes. Yeah, yeah.
And I
To great
remember
effect.
to
Yeah.
great effect. But I remember when The Darkness came out, and music fans were just like, "This, what is it? This sounds like it crawled out of Led Zeppelin's ass." Like
Mm.
just the worst kind of pandering kind of way. And the more people hated it, the more I liked it. I was like, I got the CD. I was like, this is just fun. It's fun and it works.
The darkness is to rock what the Fall Guy is to cinema. Like, the darkness would be, what are you kidding me? We're having a great time. Listen to this stuff. Do you not hear it? It sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Sounds amazing because it's all derivative.
Yeah.
It's it's derivative done well.
Everything on the screen is derivative. It's the
Yeah,
right kind of
yeah.
derivative.
That's
Um,
another nice thing about this movie is that we talk about this sometimes. We talked about it weirdly a lot in High Anxiety. This Fall Guy movie must be fantastic for people who work in film, PAs, DPs, lighting directors, just everyone.
yeah,
If you and I saw a dozen inside jokes, there's 2 dozen or three
right.
dozen.
Easy.
Yeah, I noticed at one point. Remember, she was doing exposition on their relationship by talking to him through the megaphone.
Yeah,
She's
on
like, maybe I
set.
can catch you up on the script. And he doesn't have a megaphone. So she says, bring him a megaphone.
Hmm.
And I don't know who that guy, I don't know what his position is. Um,
PA.
Director's assistant,
Yeah.
PA, right. He does a sort of half run, half jog over to Ryan Gosling, hands him, and he like goes over some fat cables. He does it exactly the way that that guy in that position would do that. Like, sorry, I know I'm not supposed to be in here. Here you go.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm leaving. Um, just little things like that, so good. And the way like people in like lizard costume or whatever, alien costumes and stuff, leaning and just waiting and listening, smoking cigarettes. Yeah. Lots of great stuff like that. And it's a
Yeah.
movie within a movie, so it's meta and it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it
The
must be nice to not have to cover, like, it's like, do we have to cover these cables? Like, no, we don't have to cover any cables when we're shooting down here.
Yeah,
Like,
it's true. Likewise with the stunts. Just
yeah,
film the
yeah,
stunts.
you
Yeah.
can let the bag show. You can, yeah,
Right.
yeah, it's
Um,
all fine.
yeah. What's funny is they used the Miami Vice soundtrack at one point. The soundtrack was so unrelentingly 80s that I'm shocked they didn't find somewhere to use the theme from Greatest American Hero, because I feel like it would have fit perfectly.
Yeah, that would have worked. That if somebody should have gotten thrown through the air with a little,
Yeah.
believe it or not.
Yeah, I really loved it. Bringing up Winston Duke again as the stunt coordinator, I love his kind of like stunts. Like he calls
Oh
into
yeah,
they look out for each other. It's like a little family within the family that is the set on a movie. There's smaller families, and stunts is kind of at the bottom. You find stunts, and it kind of bonds them, like we talked about in life. Uh,
now yeah, when he would say stunts, at first I thought he was saying stunts, like do the stunts.
mm,
But he's saying like it's like HR.
the
He's
team.
referring to a portion of the film
Yep.
making apparatus.
Yep.
Right now, I'm speaking to stunts. That's everyone who's involved with stunts, which was
Right.
great. And it was like they're a family, they're a team. And the movie opens with a long-winded explanation of how important stuntmen are. And I noticed that some of those, because there's while Colt Seavers is talking about how important stuntmen are and how unsung they are, there's a montage of stuntmen doing stunts,
Yeah.
and some of them were like Fast and Furious. And and you know what? I'm realizing now. Did, did you see the Dune movies?
I saw the first half. I have to watch the second.
In this movie, when they're fighting in like the desert scene, they actually played Dune like those like they're like Arab call vocals.
Oh, yeah, like
They
the
just threw them in
ululations.
there. Yeah,
Yeah.
they just threw them in there.
Oh,
But
that's
anyway,
funny.
there's actual footage from Fast and Furious and a couple of other action movies while they're singing the praises of stunt people.
All giving the
Uh,
thumbs up when they're alive after.
yes, yeah, and throwing
Yeah.
the thumbs up is a real thing.
Yeah.
The thumbs up reminds me of uh, like when you're water skiing. If you wipe out, when you come above, when you're back out of when your head surfaces, you're supposed to like put your hands over your head or something like that. You're
Oh.
supposed to give a sign that says you're okay. And it makes
Oh,
sense
okay.
that these stunt guys is you hear cut and then you do a thumbs up. And if you don't do it, maybe you feel great pain in your abdomen. Don't do a thumbs
Hmm.
up. That way you can be
Hmm.
sure medics are running over instead of just friends.
Right.
Yeah.
But one last thing on Winston Duke's character. I mentioned all of the TV shows that Glenn A. Larson created. including the Fall Guy that this is based on, and one of them is Magnum PI. I got a little bit of a TC vibe from
Oh
Winston Duke.
yeah, I
And it's
feel
not
that.
just about him being black. It's also just the persona. And he's like a big lug of a guy and like just such a good friend with like such a history of the shit they went through together that you can
Hmm.
tell by their shorthand.
You know what?
So
I bet that came up. I bet that came up. By the way,
yeah.
check out my TC is my pilot t-shirt at dave.threadless.com. Hollis will
Yeah.
put up a picture of it.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's got
I
that
always think
brown,
of that.
orange, and yellow helicopter.
I never think of TC without thinking of that t-shirt. By
That's
the
one of my favorites that I've made is TC is my pilot.
Oh, that's nice. By the way, the episode quote I was thinking would be good would be it's when Gosling is tied up in the chair and they're talking about Kevin being a witness. And he's like, Kevin, get out of here. Trust me, buddy. You got to stay there, Kevin. And someone puts a bag over his head and he's like, he's killing Kevin. So I don't
Good.
know. If you can think of another one, I'm all ears.
That whole scene down on the dock is
Ah,
just hilarious. He's like,
it's
"You gotta
hilarious.
eat. You have to have
You
carbs."
need the glucose. Yeah. And it's like I said, there's nothing in here you haven't seen in other movies. And one of them is when another spoiler, when the bad guy just bloviates on and tells you all of the things that he did and all the things he's gonna do. And our hero is tied up and has to listen to it. And it's just fantastic.
You can say like, "There's nothing in here you haven't seen before," but you've never seen it done this way. You've never seen it done with so little gravitas.
You know what it is? It's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood flipped on its head with Cliff as the main character and
Mm,
Rick as the Tom Rider, as just this kind of like small character. But also, this is a celebration of the stuntman. And there's a thing in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood where the hippie character says, that's way better than being the star. And he's like, why is that
mhm,
way better? And he's like, because you're real. You do it for real.
mhm,
And that's what this is about. And the only reason that Colt gets through this movie alive is because he's a stuntman. And the only way that they get justice at the end of the movie is because he's a stuntman and he does a stunt.
mhm. And that makes it not just about him. It's not like, oh, he gets his name cleared because he's a great stuntman. No, he gets his name cleared because he's part of the stunt community.
Right.
And the stunt community joins together to clear his name
And save his life.
and save his life.
Yeah.
So it's ridiculous. It's silly, but it's great. It's a lot of fun. Tarantino, I've seen interviews with Tarantino. A lot of what he said, he's like, there's a reason why he spent so much time on this stuntman because he's like, hey man, these stuntmen, they don't get enough credit. Like the people don't understand the bond, people don't understand what they go through, people don't understand the lack of credit that they get. This movie follows right along in those footsteps. In fact, I saw while I was poking around when they did at the opening or whatever and stuff. They go out. Yeah, there's always a big like background of the title of the movie, so they can take pictures in front of the title of the movie.
Mm-hmm. The
Somebody,
step and repeat.
yeah, you step in, you get your photo taken, you step out, right? And but when they were doing it for this movie, like Ryan Gosling steps in, and then a fan like ran up and like accosts him, and a guy like um, rips one of the legs off the A and Fall Guy and hits the guys over the head, hits the guy over. So
They planned something?
they did stunts. Yeah, they did like
Oh, that's great.
unexpected stunts where they used pieces of the set and
That's
stuff.
great.
It's actually, they used the movie as part of a springboard for the make stunt coordinator an Oscar category.
It should be.
Yeah, it absolutely should be.
It's only about 50 years too late for some of the greatest stuntmen in
Oh my God, can you
history.
imagine how many bottles of Schlitz are going to be dropped on the floor? You got to be fucking kidding me now. Now? I can't feel Can't feel either
Oh,
legs.
yeah.
Can't get off the
Oh,
couch without
man.
making noise. Now they're gonna do it.
Wow. Oh, at the end of the film, I think it's mid-credits, so I don't know if you stuck around,
I did.
but we see Lee Majors and Heather Thomas make a cameo appearance, and they've each had quite a lot of work done.
Oof, I know.
And for some reason, I was way more disturbed about Heather Thomas's
I
work.
was too. Yeah.
I may cut this out because I don't know that
Yeah.
a guy should ever talk about a woman's appearance, but it kind of shows you what Hollywood is and what Hollywood does. And especially women, they're not allowed to age. And so a woman gets older, she shows her age, and she gets all these horrible comments. And so she goes out and she does something to try and fix it. And then she gets all these horrible
A
comments
whole
about
new
how
set
bad
of
it.
horrible comments, yeah.
Yeah. And it's just this endless cycle. And I
Are
just
we
felt
allowed to say,
bad.
like, but, uh, uh, it's just another horrible comment is, "Can't you just grow old gracefully?" Like,
Yeah.
it's like, well, that's not what she chose, and
In
it's none of your fucking
Hollywood, is
business,
that an
and
option?
yeah, I would say it's not an option. It's been done. It can be done, but
Yeah.
you have to overcome so much pressure, and it's just been drilled into you, and I'm sure in the beginning you're like, "I'm just gonna do it a little at first to keep getting paychecks, and, if I can get rid of this waddle a little bit, then I can get one more role in my like, as someone in their 30s."
Yeah.
um,
It's a
and
slippery
then
slope.
you do a little more, and you do a little more, yeah.
It's like that person
um
that just wanted to get one tattoo, and then it's a sleeve, and then it's another, and then
mhm.
suddenly you're running out, and then you're like, "Look." It's like, yeah, I think that happens.
Yeah,
Um,
and it's a shame because I would love to know
what
what in the alternate reality, how
Yeah,
beautiful the 60-year-old Heather Thomas is.
yeah.
Um, and I bring up people all the time. There are lots of beautiful people. You ever seen Jane Goodall?
Oh, love
Um,
Jane Goodall, yeah.
yeah, and she just aged like so beautifully, and it's like it's actually hard to come up with people like who are people that you have a lot of
Yeah.
footage of,
You
but they
had to come
don't.
up with a naturalist.
I know, but
By
it's
name,
someone it's someone who's on film a lot, but not
Yeah,
because they're a star. Um,
right,
and we can almost count on someone like that, a science-based person,
right.
to not go down that road. Um, and you see like, oh, but there's a whole other world of beauty that you sidestepped,
Yeah.
and it's a bummer, you know.
So let's pop into taglines. I could only find one tagline, and it was fall hard. And I'm sure
I
they
mean,
meant it a couple of ways. Like it's all about him falling in love, but also he falls hard. He's the best in the business. You want a fall
mm,
guy, AKA a stunt man, he can fall hard. So,
and
and
it's
fall hard for this film too.
mhm. Oh, right, right, you're gonna love it, Fall Hard. Also, like, not unlike, a one-word sentence, or
Oh,
what was it?
life. Yeah. Life,
Yeah,
a one word
Life, a
sentence.
one-word
Yeah.
sentence. Not unlike that, you forgive the vagueness for the economy of words. You're like, "Fall Hard," 2 words, 2
Yeah.
words.
Yeah.
The title itself is 2 words, 3 if you count "the." Yeah, so you forgive it a little
Yeah.
for being a 2-word, tagline. It's not bad. It's not. There's been
Yeah.
ones that I thought were terrible. It's not terrible. I feel like there might be a better one.
I know it's too lowbrow, but for some reason it just popped into my head. Cunning stunts. To quote the old joke.
Uh, that's funny.
Yeah, I don't know. The Fall Guy. I mean, I think we're living in a post taglines world, really. You occasionally get them. I think Booksmart had a good one. I think some of the films we've done have had good ones, but it's the exception these days, I find, especially
You
big
might,
blockbusters.
they may. I think maybe the smart move is let me know if you come up with a good tagline. If you don't, let's not have one.
Yeah,
Yeah, but let's not, don't force it.
right.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
promotion for these things can be so bad anyway.
yeah, it's
Um,
true.
I watched I watched a 1 minute trailer and a 3 minute trailer for this. Um,
Which was better?
1 minute was better.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, a 3 minute trailer because this is a comedy drama in my opinion. I'm saying comedy first. This is
Yeah.
comedy first, drama second. And the 3 minute version made it seem like it was drama first. Like
Oh,
this movie's exciting. It's got some funny stuff in it too. Like I don't know, like don't set people up to be disappointed.
yeah,
Be honest about what your film is. But I don't think that that's how they're like. No, let's sell the ticket. We can
right.
deal with the fact that they were lied to after the fact. Like
Yeah,
because I've seen movies like people are like, we didn't know you were going to make this weird movie. We're going to make the trailer look like it's not weird. I'm
yeah.
like, what are you doing? We're gonna find out. We're going to the movie.
It's a cinematic clickbait is all it is,
Mm,
really.
that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's like clickbait. So the 3 minute trailer seemed to like sort of not admit just how ridiculous the movie is.
Yeah.
Uh, but it wasn't bad, and both of them made me like, yeah, that would make me want to see this movie.
Mhm.
Plus, I'm like, John Wick, sign me up. Deadpool, sign me up. Like, I'm like, I love watching people do all this dramatic shoot 'em up stunts and stuff. I almost prefer that it happen in a ridiculous situation. Like, I'd rather not watch
Yeah.
people suffer and without some ridiculousness to help me remind me it's not real.
Yeah, there's any number of serial killer movies out there right now where they get into the intricacies of how he's killing people and, yeah, just keep it
Yeah.
breezy.
Yeah. I mean, this was a movie
Um,
about murder and mayhem, and it was breezy. So, yeah.
Also, like, one of the things I love about Gosling, and I said earlier how I think he really gets it, he's a throwback movie star. Like, this was the ideal vehicle for him. He's great at finding vehicles for himself in which his unique gifts can really shine, because I defy you to recast the Fall Guy. You stick Ryan Reynolds in this, and suddenly it's a piece of shit that I don't want to watch because
No,
certain
totally.
guys can't they can't pull this off. We've talked about how it walks just this side of farce where it could easily cross over, but Ryan Gosling has that shit on cruise control. He's just not letting his foot off.
Driver.
Yeah. Another great one. He's great
Yeah.
at finding these things for himself, like the nice
Yeah.
guys, like Barbie. Who else could play Ken?
This was very Nice Guys related as far as his character is concerned. This is
Hmm.
Nice Guys with an unlimited budget and an unhinged writer.
Yeah.
Like, you know, this is because we were like, oh, well, I would have killed to see another Nice Guys. I would have killed to see another Nice Guys. This is like a little bit of that getting that prayer answered.
Hmm.
Um, what does she say to him? Like, you're the fall guy. No one even notices you. No offense.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, some offense. I forget what he says,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. He's
he
good at
nails the
that.
yeah.
He's great at playing those kind of self-deprecating characters. And what better character? What's the ultimate example of that than a guy who, when he does his job perfectly, you don't see his face?
Hmm.
Oh, you saw my
Hmm.
face? All right, we got to go again. Like, it's the ultimate self-deprecating job when you do it well. It's like a weird world that they inhabit, these stuntmen.
It's like the Ringo Starr situation. It's like Ringo Starr could have been
Yeah.
anybody. It's like you're wrong. You're wrong. Ringo Starr could not have been anyone,
Hmm.
but he's so good that you think he could have been anyone.
Yeah.
Um, there's a bunch of great videos now where people say like, here's how anyone else would have played it. Here's how Ringo Starr played it, and so on
Right.
and so forth. But
When you see a video of Ringo Starr, then he explains in a very self-deprecating way that his
always, yeah,
style is because he can't go right or something. He's like
yeah,
a
yeah.
lefty. And so he's
Yeah,
like,
can't
you
reach
know,
over my right arm.
yeah,
My right arm is in the way.
by the time I get over there, it's like he's
Yeah.
always late. uh, All right, Dave. I think we fell hard. Anything
Yeah,
to
this
add?
don't really need a deep dive here. This
Yeah,
is
there is no. I'm
a
not
deep
diving deeper than
dive
Gosling.
here will get you a broken back.
Yeah,
This is this is a shallow pool, but
it is.
it is a lovely shallow pool.
Come
It
on
does
in. The
not
water's
need a
fine.
deep dive. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's
let's
true.
just we give it the thumbs up.
I've got the theme song to Sheriff Lobo in my head now.
All
Cool.
right.
Ah, thanks, Dave.
Hollis and Dave would like
Thank
to
you,
thank you for
Hollis.
enjoying Pop Culture Graveyard.